Hi, I'm Kathy Edmondson, and welcome to the Dr. Lake Show. I'm so excited. Today is January 25th, 2018, and it is the very first recording of the Dr. Lake Show. I welcome you to Untitled, who is a family counseling service, a 501c3 organization in the Inland Empire. We are a nonprofit organization, an agency that serves anxiety, depression, substance abuse, anger management. That's just a few of what you can expect here on the Dr. Lake Show. The Dr. Lake Show is going to be awesome. It's going to be off the chain. I encourage you to tune in every single week. Watch the Dr. Lake Show because he's going to be covering so many different topics that can touch your life. Again, I'm Kathy Edmondson, and welcome to the Dr. Lake Show. Woo!
Thank you so much. Thank you.
And thank you for tuning in to the Dr. Lake Show. We're so excited. We've been waiting for this great opportunity to have this show here in the Inland Empire. And today, I, Kathy Edmondson, have the privilege and the honor of interviewing Dr. Lake himself. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity.
Thank you, Kathy, for being here.
Absolutely. It's a privilege. Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be a part of this dream, of the vision, of you allowing me to help you manifest that which has been laid in your heart for many, many years. Today I'd like to ask you a couple of questions. Are you ready?
I am ready.
I wanted to find out, and I'm sure the people are interested in knowing, how did you first become interested in family and marital counseling?
Going through my childhood and experiencing the dysfunction and the chaos that was a part of my home, in the back of my mind I always felt like, boy, if I ever got a chance, I'd like to do something to help other families not go through the same thing I did, or if they did, here are some things that you can do to survive and even thrive.
Right. And so what sways you into marital family versus all the other different types of counseling out there?
I like to think that it was God telling me to do it.
Yeah, to go in that one.
When I got out of school and I began pastoral ministry, I just felt like everybody I was working with were more couples or families, and I was doing a lot of counseling in my pastoral responsibilities. And so it seemed like a natural fit. I didn't realize that I had counseling skills, but after going to school, I was able to develop them, and then it just seemed like this was something I should be doing.
Right. It's very, very rich and exciting. I mean, I've read the reviews about you from on your website, and you have nothing but top reviews from all of your clients saying how awesome you are, how comforting it is, your counseling, how they come one way and they leave another way. What do you contribute that to?
I'm a hope-filled guy.
Okay.
I believe that people can change.
Yes.
And that's the modus operandi that I use, that people can change if they really want. And when you come, I'm going to be very down to earth, unassuming, and I want you to be comfortable enough to share. And then I give you encouragement, and I give them practical tools that they can use in their life or in situations, and they start finding success, and they go, wow, I didn't think I could do that.
Wow, that's amazing. What are some of the other areas that you specialize in?
My number one specialty is childhood trauma. I'm one of the leading experts in the country on childhood trauma.
Wow.
A lot of that came out of my own background.
Isn't that something?
Grief and bereavement is also a specialty of mine. And then couples, families, and marriages are also specialty areas. But I do depression, grief, anxiety. I do bipolar. I do a little bit of everything, but the ones that I mentioned are the specialty areas.
Right. And I noticed that, of course, knowing that you are a renowned author as well, today I have the privilege of holding up your book here. It's written by Dr. Ira Lake, and it's Messed Up and Don't Even Know It. And this one is the journey from childhood trauma to healing. So can you talk about that a little bit?
I have been fortunate to work with a lot of people who have gone through some traumatic experiences as children. And they allowed me to tell their story, just change their name so that it could be of help to somebody else. When you're going through something, you always feel like you're by yourself.
Right.
And so this book was written in a way so that you don't feel like you're by yourself, that you have somebody else who understands what you've been through.
Right.
And at the end of each chapter, there is some self-help things that I've suggested that will allow the person or individual to feel like they can move past whatever they went through as a child.
Right, and I noticed that you can pick this up on Amazon as well.
You can go to Amazon, you can go to Barnes and Nobles, or you can go to my website.
All right. So there's plenty of places that someone can pick up this book.
Yes.
I mean, the one thing about this book is many of us, when we grew up, of course, I like to call that back in the day when it was okay to get disciplined by your parents and for your parents to whoop you with a belt and different ways that we discipline. A lot of the children now in the 2000s are saying that they're messed up some kind of way and they don't even know it. So I would highly recommend this book, The Journey from Childhood Trauma to Healing. So definitely go out and go to Amazon or go to Barnes & Noble or go to the website, Untitled.org, and pick up your copy of this today. Dr. Lake, how exciting is it? This is the Dr. Lake Show. I mean, you are actually sitting on your own stage, and it's a reality of what's been in your heart. How do you feel today?
I'm bursting over with excitement. I saw this 30 years ago, and I've told everybody that knows me I wanted to be the next Dr. Phil. I didn't know how it was going to happen or when or even if. I just had it in my head, and I met somebody named Kathy Edmondson.
All right.
And you showed me how we can make this a reality.
Yes.
And so I'm sitting here today going, wow, this is really happening.
I'm glad to be a part of it. And the Dr. Lake Show is going to be aired weekly. This is something that the community, whether it be Riverside, San Bernardino, Fontana, Rialto, wherever you are, you're going to be able to view this show on a weekly basis. Dr. Lake, what are some of the things that your audience can look forward to seeing?
We're going to give practical marital help or tips, advice or tools that you can use to make your marriage healthier and better. We're going to talk about depression and anxiety and stress. Those three run together, so they all trigger each other. We're going to talk about how we can live more healthier, stress-free lives. We're going to deal with the number one health problem in the United States today, which is opiate or drug addiction. We're going to deal with that.
Right.
Just practical, insightful tips that will allow the person to feel like they can make it, they can get over it, they can overcome. Those are some of the things we're going to try to do.
That's awesome, because that definitely gives the community the message of hope. And we are living today in a place where it's hopeless. A lot of people are feeling down. And you, Dr. Lake, you're going to be able to come through the airways and people can tune in to the Dr. Lake Show once a week and receive that hope. So thank you so much for allowing me the opportunity to speak with you today. Dr. Lake is a published author. He's also a renowned speaker as well as a counselor and a pastor. So thank you so much, Dr. Lake, for allowing me the opportunity to ask you these questions today.
And I thank you for being here today and for introducing me to a new world that I did not see, but I knew it existed.
Yes.
Thank you.
No, thank you. Thank you.
Hi, welcome to the Dr. Lake Show. Man, this is a dream come true. I have nurtured this dream for 9 years to have a show that we could use to impact the community, that could help and support those who are struggling with a variety of issues. And if you would like to be a part of this show, please go to our website, www.mtasic.org. there's a registration form. Fill it out. We'll call you, bring you in and interview you. We would love to have you a part of this moving experience. And so today, I am excited for our first guest. This is my friend, my mentor, my confidant. I've known him for almost 40 years. Can you believe it? My best friend, Dr. David L. Taylor. Doc, how you doing?
I'm doing fine and excited, just as you are, to be here on your first. That's mighty important. And we are friends. We go way back. We've prayed together. We have talked together. We've even wept together. But thank God for what's happening today.
I first met Dr. Taylor when I was 19 years old. He was in the city of Sacramento during an evangelistic meeting, and I walked into this packed auditorium. He was moonwalking across the stage. We both had a full head of hair. And look at us today, old and wise and veteran.
I remember that now that you've caused memories to reignite. And I remember in Sacramento, it was a warehouse that we had decorated, and you had come to work that summer. And I enjoyed learning from you. You'll be amazed what we who are older can learn from those who are younger. So we united, we came together, and that friendship has never dissolved. We've grown.
Doc, where were you born and raised? And where you were born and raised, what has that meant to your own personal journey?
Well, you know, they say we have a world view. That's what we grow up around. How my parents thought has impacted me. And I grew up in New Jersey. My mother was a third grader. My dad, a seventh grader. He wasn't a dropout, he was a pushout. He was so bad they pushed him out in the seventh grade. And they always said to me and to my sister, you're going to get an education. My mother didn't have knowledge, but she had wisdom. The same for my dad. And that wisdom has rubbed off. And born in Camden, New Jersey, an industrial city at the time. Camden was known because of RCA Victor, Campbell's Soup. New York Shipyard was there at Camden at the docks there. And so it was an industrial city. And my mother had migrated from Georgia. That's where she met my dad in New Jersey. And my dad was born in New Jersey. And I received my education in the elementary schools there in Camden. And here I am today, how our paths have crossed. So I'm a New Jersey guy. Pardon me, I hope I don't destroy what we are saying, but back there we didn't wear shirts, we wore shorts. We didn't talk about birds, we talked about the boys. We sat on the coibs, but I'm a Jersey guy, and I think I've lost all of that.
Well, you know, I'm born and raised in Chicago, and I grew up in a middle-class home, but it was a home that was filled with a lot of abuse and violence, but my father was a strong believer in education, and he had gone to school down in Huntsville, Alabama, and said, you don't have a choice. You're going to go to school in Huntsville, Alabama, just like me. And that's where our paths begin to cross and we begin to intersect. Now, you have over 50 years of ministry. You've served as an administrator, a teacher, a pastor. So I'd like to know, and you can tell our audience, some things about what you've discovered in these 50 years of serving people, serving churches, serving areas and regions. What are some of the things that you've come across?
Well, I've come across many things, but certain ones just tap you on the shoulder, say, don't forget me. I've met much in your journey and experience, and it really has. You talked about the abuse you had growing up in Chicago. Do you realize that 30% of the population in Chicago lived on 10% of the land? That's like trying to squeeze a quarter into a dime. You get confusion. You get a no-made within families. Families shatter and break. Abuse, what you're talking about, it's so true and real. And meeting you and others when I attended the same school that your dad attended, in the heart of Dixie, they call it, Huntsville, Alabama. That's where the Space Center is, Von Braun Space Center, and they call it the city where space began. And my journey really began after getting my worldview broadening. I met students from different cities, even different countries, and it helped me to see others had views. And then from those different views, I began my journey. And as I was sharing with someone earlier, the journey is not just where we go in the circle and that's it. It's a journey going to a certain point in time. And what I call being a Christian, but I like to say I'm really a follower of Jesus. We're looking for that time when that kingdom will be finalized. So I like to live in such a way as to introduce people to the compassion, the kindness, the mercies of Jesus and understanding. And that's my Christ likeness that I seek by his Spirit to be a part of my life. So I've learned many things, and it has helped so much. I learned from you. As I said, you call me your mentor, but really, I am your mentor. You were my mentee, but I learned from you, and it helped me to downshift, to make adjustments so that I can better serve our society today. I've learned many things, educationally, spiritually, and just in the community, what it means to have Christ likeness as you deal with people and you realize what they're going through.
So let's talk about the community. You know, we have a nonprofit, MTASIC Family Counseling Services. We are attempting to reach the very low income and the homeless populations in 3 different areas in the Inland Empire. We are doing something in Fontana, California. We have something in Riverside, and now we have something in San Bernardino. We provide mental health counseling to them, and also we do case management services, trying to fill in some of those physical needs that they might be needing or experiencing. Let's talk about the community. How does the church how can the church play a better role in the community?
The role that the church can play, and in the community, it's vitally important what it does play. I like your use of the language community. We're having community right here, you and I together. The community, the larger, you mentioned San Bernardino, you mentioned Fontana, and here we are, Riverside, community. Look at that word community. We find things in common. And you find common pain in Riverside, in Fontana, in San Bernardino. Community, unity. How can we bring unity to lives? How can communities work together? There's community, the unity, important. And so I have a saying, and don't smile at me when I say this. We've heard what I learned in history as a little boy, united we stand, divided we fall. But through MTASIC and what we have in reaching the community, we believe in united we stick, divided we're stuck. And we're trying to help in counseling and using wisdom and insight to bring people, Riverside, Fontana, San Bernardino together. And I just thank God for you. You had the vision, because without a vision, the Old Testament prophet says people perish. And so you have that vision to help them not to perish, but to survive and to really become strong communities. And that's so vitally important.
I appreciate you sharing that. Let's talk a little bit more about how the church can have a bigger say or have a bigger positive impact in the local communities where they reside. How would you address that?
Well, you know, when we think about the church, we usually think about buildings. But you are church, and I am church. C-H-U-R. C-H. You take the U-R out, you don't have church. You have C-H. Nothing. So people are vitally important. And with that vision, because without the vision, as I said, people perish, You have gotten this vision. How can we strengthen these communities, you see? And this is why the church is so important. We think of church, well, we're different. That's the world out there. But the church is here. When Jesus was on earth, what did he do? He moved among people. He lived with people. He ate with people. He realized their pain. The lady who touched his garment, something has happened. Someone touched me. What do you mean someone touched you? All of these people around you? The Lord has put you in touch with fantastic ministries. And you see the hurts and the needs. But you've gotten that through your studies and looking at Jesus, his lifestyle. You see, he took off the robe of divinity and put on humanity. He came down, he incubated beneath the heart of an 18-year-old girl for 9 months. And he was born. And he came in a manger, not in suburbia, not in exurbia, just in the community among people. And he grew up around them. And your ministry seeks to reach those who grew up in communities, to help them to be strong like Jesus was. One writer that I read said, Jesus never used divine power to overcome sin, let's say adversity. He never used divine power, but divine power was used in his behalf to help him heal, open blind eyes, to take the young people, they would sit on his lap and he would talk with them. It took time. See, those are those qualities, those values that he has. And fantastic. The same thing that you seek to do through counseling, reaching out, not just dad and mother and the children, but the entire family. And Jesus was interested in the family. If you read John, the 11th chapter, the Gospel of John, it's an interesting book. You have Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, and then there's another one, Old Testament, Isaiah. They call that the 5th Gospel, because Isaiah talks about the ministry of Jesus, what he would do when he came on earth. And he would open blind eyes, and he became one of us. And that's so important. And John talks about Jesus spending time in the home of Martha, Mary, and their brother Lazarus. And they said Bethany, that was the city of Mary and Martha. They were well-known ladies. Their lives that they lived meant much. And Jesus spent more time there than any place else with the family. And it said not only that he spent time there, but he loved them and they loved him. But Lazarus died. And you deal with the grief, counseling families. Lazarus died, so we may love Jesus. We may have difficult times, even deaths within our families. And in our communities of Fontana, Riverside, San Bernardino, we have these things happening where people have pain. And the fantastic ministry, you seek to bring healing in a very special way. And not theologizing, because you and I have talked often. Do you know that word healing? When you study the original language, New Testament, the Greek word means healing. It's the same word that means salvation. So when Jesus heals us, he gives us salvation. When we receive the salvation, you know what happens? Our eyes are open. We have that real cure, not just superficial, but it's deep down within. That Greek word, doxa, salvation, doxa, healing. So when Jesus heals you, he gives you salvation. And that's so vitally important. And that's what you seek to do through Imptacit. And that's what happened to you. Because I think I read one of your books, and you talked about the difference that it made, and even in your ministry today.
Doc, I really appreciate those powerful words. We are going to try to do a pastor wives conference in April of this year. We're going to step out on faith. We're going to do it in Orange County. What are some of the challenges as you've been an administrator that pastors and their families are facing today? What are some of the things you've seen?
Let me just share, Dr. Lake, what I've seen and what have I experienced. I'm a pastor. I pastored a daughter and a son. My daughter expired at an early age, 52. Sudden heart attack. Never had heart problems. And I say many times as pastors, we're so busy making a living, we don't have time to make a life. We're busy serving many, we don't take time with our wives, with our sons and daughters. And I think New Testament writers talk about, winning the world but losing our own families, you see. And so we have to take time. And I shouldn't feel guilty while I'm at home preparing the sermon. And I can hear the horns blowing and people going to work. I'm working because I'm preparing to help people who hurt from those communities, you see. So don't feel guilty. And then praying, that's all you do, pray? Yeah, you pray much because spending time on your knees help you to stand on your feet, to be a man, to take time with your daughter, with your son, and with your wife, you see, and that's important. You see, our wives are really our ribs. They protect our heart. God took Eve from a rib of Adam. They're needed, and as pastors, we can really get busy that we don't have time with our families. A young boy had gotten in trouble, and he was down in the courts. And he stood there next to his father, and his father said to the judge, "My son and I are close." And the little boy surprised the courtroom. He says, "Dad, the only time we've been close has been in a crowded pew in the church. We never took time for you to go fishing with me. We never took time to really sit down and talk to me, eye-to-eye contact." I was doing some research, and I read in my research when I attended Vanderbilt University, in that research, one of the men had written, "I wasted a day. I went fishing with my son." Then the little boy, they read what his little journal. It said, "Best day of my life. Dad and I went fishing together." So don't say you spend quality time with your family. Spend time with them, and that time is quality. Wasted a day fishing. Best day of my life, Dad and I. And my daughter would say to me, "You're funny, Daddy. We would laugh together." But my daughter would talk with me about very personal things without feeling threatened. And my wife, I tell her, "I'm the head of the house, but you're the neck that turns the head. And I thank God that I've chosen you." And also as the pastor with my wife, well, I have to wait to see what my husband says about that. No, my wife makes decisions. Now don't say, "I'm the man, I'm supposed to make all the decisions." No, I have good judgment. I prayed, I chose well. She prayed, she chose well. So let us use that wisdom. We can get knowledge from books, but application of the knowledge, that's wisdom. But that wisdom must be bathed in that experience that we have with God, down on our knees, and we implement it. Don't feel guilty about taking a vacation as a pastor. Don't feel guilty about having Women's Day at your churches as a pastor. We're all important. What did I say? United, we stick. Divided, we're stuck. We need to be united as a family, as a church. Your ministry in Pastic, what you're doing in Riverside, Fontana, San Bernardino, we're uniting them, bringing them together. But it's those values, the qualities that Jesus has given us through the healing from our abuse coming up in life. And that salvation, not that I can just shout and sing songs, but I can live. That's walking the walk and not just talking the talk. It becomes a part of it.
So rich, man. This is so rich. That's why I wanted you here today.
Thank you.
On our first show, I wanted the guy, the man, the influencer to be a part of this special moment. I've nurtured this for basically 30 years. I saw it in my head, but I didn't see all the details. I knew I wanted to do something that was going to be impactful in the community. But I had a lot of growing up to do, and you've been with me since, like I said, I was 19. And if it weren't for you, I wouldn't be where I am today. And I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. You have been there for me. I don't even have the words to express it. I love you.
Thank you.
And I appreciate your ministry and your impact in my life. Not even my children, they call you Uncle. Uncle David. So we love you, and I appreciate the rich words that you shared with our audience. And if you are watching this show and you want to be a part of it, I invite you to write us at www.mtastic.org or call us at 951-774-1367. We would love to have you come and be a part to share in a show that will be hope-filled, that will be inspirational, and that will give you some tools that will allow you to prosper and thrive in these troubling times. Thank you so much for joining us.